It is said that Japanese raccoons also possess the ability to transform themselves up to 72 times. If they practice diligently and master this art, they can turn into anything, such as a football, a statue, or even a handsome young man. From time to time, these raccoons take on human forms and enter the human world to test the results of their training. What they fear the most are the cars speeding along the roads because they are not used to traffic rules and often end up getting crushed under tires. And what they love the most is eating all kinds of delicious food they find on the streets. But the moment they are tempted by a fragrance, they are immediately beaten back into their original forms because maintaining a human shape consumes a huge amount of a raccoon's energy. If they keep this up for too long, dark circles appear under their eyes. If their energy is not replenished in time, they collapse on the spot and start fighting with their own tails. The reason these adorable raccoons work so hard to practice transformation is that one day they want to take their home back from humans. Long ago, for a very long time, raccoons lived in the forests without any worries. They considered fields without human presence to be their homes, but one day, an excavating machine broke through that boundary. Unfortunately, among the homeless raccoons, fights over food began, and soon a civil war broke out. While the raccoons were fighting each other, the high-ranking fire mother-in-law appeared and put an end to the war. Reminded by her words, the raccoons looked down from the mountain and realized that the real culprits were the humans who had flattened lush green mountains into level ground. In fact, as the population increased, the government excessively developed nearby farmland, mountains, and forests to solve housing problems. Facing this crisis of survival, the raccoon elders called an emergency meeting to discuss solutions. They decided to split into 3 groups. First, they sent 2 young raccoons to ask other animals for help, and the raccoons barely had any time to rest. Some raccoons went to garbage dumps and brought back a television discarded by humans. Through the news, they began to constantly monitor human activities. The second group followed the fire mother-in-law to learn the art of transformation, but mastering this art was not easy. Even talented raccoons often became the butt of jokes. After a full year of training, only 5 raccoons managed to master the skill, but to officially graduate, they had to start working in human bodies. The raccoons made a lot of money. Some became laborers and earned large sums by selling their hard work. Some became monks, and a few of them made great fortunes through slot machines, tiger machines. However, although the young raccoons kept trying to improve themselves, their progress lagged behind the speed of human development. The leader of the radical faction, Quan Tai, paid no attention to public opposition. He decided to take revenge on humans together with his followers. They took advantage of the storm. Sometimes they transformed into bridges and cliffs, slowly guiding transport vehicles toward deep ravines. At other times, they turned into green trees, causing drivers to veer off the road and fall. Leader Quan Tai was even more ruthless. With a spear and a horse, he leapt onto the roof of a car in a single bound, enlarged a crucial part of the vehicle, completely blocking the driver's vision, and forced the car to plunge into the ravine. The accident killed 3 people and injured 2 others. The media and society widely reported this tragedy. The raccoons joyfully welcomed their hero's return. They believed they had achieved a major victory in their struggle against humans, but they were still far too naive. The news soon reported that, although accidents were happening repeatedly, development projects would not be halted for these reasons. Hearing this, the raccoons were completely confused and their morale collapsed. Quan Tai was seriously injured, and his violent campaign had to be forcibly suspended. When even killing humans proved useless, they were left with no way out. The raccoons realized human superstitious nature and decided to descend the mountain to begin a new phase of action. At midnight, a woman in red clothes was crying alone on the roadside. A passing police patrol showed compassion and tried to comfort her. But the next moment, even after scaring the police away, the woman was still not satisfied. She mounted a bicycle and chased after them, then changed her face and began to teach them what shamelessness and invincibility truly meant. After a gunshot rang out, the woman revealed her true form. She was actually a raccoon. But the story did not end there. Whether it was fellow officers at the police station or passersby at convenience stores, everyone turned into shameless forms, and the police officers fainted on the spot in terror. These 2 or 3 terrifying incidents forced many people and experts to reflect. They believed that the government's large-scale development projects had angered the mountain god, leading to natural disasters. But unfortunately, the raccoon's revenge only became a few episodes of sensational gossip news stories. It had little real impact. They tried their best and eventually managed to scare off some construction workers. But the very next day, the developers brought in new workers. Human greed once again defeated fear. Once lush green mountains were now covered with thick layers of cement poured by humans. Countless materials were used to construct buildings. As a result, the raccoons, who had just begun their resistance, lost their way once again. Winter soon arrived. To fight the cold, they had to search for food everywhere, and the agreement they had made with humans only resulted in their territory shrinking even further. Before long, their living space kept getting smaller and smaller. During this time, a baby raccoon was born, pushing an already poor family into even greater hardship. To cope with food shortages, the raccoons who could transform went to the city and rummaged through garbage discarded by humans. Those who could not transform snuck into villages to steal food. Some were crushed to death on the roads, others were captured by humans. This tragedy created yet another division among the raccoons. The conservative faction, representing the political class, advocated minimizing casualties and emphasized protecting the elite. Meanwhile, the radical faction, led by those in power, called on everyone to rise up and fight against humans. Just as both sides reached a stalemate, 3 young men dressed in strange clothes and a flying old man arrived at the tribe. They confirmed that these outsiders from other places were actually the 3 most powerful elders of the raccoon tribe. Based on their past experiences, the elders began training the tribe and decided to gather all their strength to stage a massive ghost parade at night. Rather than killing humans, it was better to drive them away from the forest and implant fear and reverence in their hearts. After harsh training, the raccoons became capable of transforming into various animals. They soared into the sky to teach greedy and ignorant humans a shocking lesson. The mysterious old man who could make flowers bloom from dead wood lifted the curtain of this spectacle. Behind him were monsters with bizarre powers. Some performed acrobatics in the air, others appeared inside residential buildings, giving housewives a severe fright. 2 double-faced monsters crawled out of television screens. A love story had now completely turned into a horror movie. As the elders continued to unleash their power, chaos spread throughout the city. But no one expected the energy consumption to be so immense. The already elderly man collapsed to the ground and died. This parade of monsters soon burst like a bubble, but the raccoon's goal had almost been achieved. After this turmoil, humans gradually began to believe that ghosts and gods truly existed in the world. Just when the raccoons thought humans would no longer dare to destroy the forest, the owner of that dull amusement park, seeking land for his business, unknowingly released a statement. He claimed that the previous night's spectacle was merely a carefully organized light show by the company. This statement completely rendered all of the raccoons' efforts from the previous night utterly meaningless. And at that very moment, as they felt humiliated by humans' shameless behavior, the story moved toward a new turning point. Here, a mysterious man was discovered who put forward a bold proposal. "You're a raccoon, right? That's great." As soon as he said this, the man himself transformed into a raccoon. Not only him, every beautiful woman around him was also a raccoon. The elder Jinn, who had lived in the mountains for a long time, had never seen such a scene before. At that moment, his legs began to tremble as if they were about to give out. "Don't be afraid. This girl is also a wild raccoon. Is this girl okay? Will she also turn into a raccoon? Or should I turn her into a tanuki? Or should I just make her a tanuki?" Elder Jinn was stunned. In the end, the raccoon had no choice but to explain the truth to him. Because of excessive human development, the raccoon race had almost gone extinct. Only those raccoons who had learned the art of transformation survived. They disguised themselves as humans and began working in certain indecent professions. He suggested that Elder Jin should also abandon resistance, lead the remaining members of his race into human society, and then work for the owner of the amusement park. He said he would pay them a very generous salary. As for the lower-class raccoons who failed to learn transformation, they should be allowed to commit suicide. Left with no choice, Elder Jin returned to the tribe to discuss the matter with everyone. As a result, the raccoon tribe became divided from within. Some raccoons still had hope for humans. They wrote an appeal letter and tried to draw society's attention through peaceful means. Others were completely broken. They spent their days chanting spells and Buddhist sutras, praying to Buddha for blessings. Seeing the tribe falling apart, Elder Jin withdrew the proposal he had once given to humans and decided to raise funds on his own for the next battle. First, he used magic to create a gigantic fortune-telling raccoon, lured the amusement park owner into it, and filled its interior with all kinds of new and exciting attractions. While the owner was completely absorbed in pleasure, two raccoons used magic to launch the fortune-telling raccoon into the sky like a rocket and stole all the money stored inside with full force. Meanwhile, under Quan Tai's leadership, the radical raccoons took up positions on the forest paths with their subordinates and blocked lumber workers from entering the forest. Humans dispatched heavily armed security forces and planned to forcibly clear the way. At that moment, the raccoons flew into the air, transformed into massive boulders, and crashed down upon the guards. They were called Yad Fragments, and their name was Waquan. In the end, they were all killed. Just as the raccoon tribe was on the verge of total annihilation, Elder He's appeal letter finally took effect. A group of journalists arrived in the forest and decided to interview them. The remaining raccoons confessed everything in front of the human reporters. "We did all of this. This mountain is our home. We don't want you to destroy it. This is the wish of all living things." But the outcome was the same as before. Whether it was the popularity of the news or the conscience of humans, everything quickly vanished without a trace. The construction site that had been shut down for a few days was reopened. The raccoons completely lost their home. The other raccoon who had gone elsewhere to seek help also returned alone. She saw her home and witnessed the tragedy of her tribe. She broke down in tears. "Give me back my mountain! Give me back my wisdom!" Perhaps emotions are contagious. The remaining raccoons gathered together and used all their strength to try to restore their ruined home to what it once was. Trees sprouted from the ground, giant vines spread across rooftops. She remembered the yellow soil along the edges, the lush fields and forests. That day, the humans living in the city witnessed a miracle. She saw her family again, her lost childhood, and that open field. The raccoons cried uncontrollably. She saw how, as a child, she had run out joyfully, but halfway through, the tree disappeared along with her. In the end, human development plans were still in full swing. Before long, mountains and forests were turned into human residential areas. Yes, that first miracle did have some effect, awakening a sense of environmental protection among humans. In later development, some of the original form of the mountains and forests were preserved. Slogans were even put up along the roadsides, but everything came too late, far too late. Some of the surviving raccoons transformed into human form and were forced to blend into human society. But the fast pace of work and life pressed down on them so heavily that even breathing became difficult. Only at night, in places unknown to humans, could they become free raccoons again and live out a brief moment of happiness. The name of this film is Pom Poko. Beneath the shell of a strange fairy tale lies an extremely cruel and serious reality. On one hand, it depicts the limitless expansion of human society and the destruction of nature. At the same time, it exposes a desire-driven adult world and the destruction of childhood. And sadly, at the end of the film, those raccoons who were forced to become humans, aren't they just like us when we grow up?